Hey everybody, just a cup. Brian Fetzer, world's greatest team. Have Richard Parkinson from Athletics Canada on. He is the high performance throws coach up in Canada, based out of Toronto, and we're gonna have him on here shortly. Talk about what it's like up in Canada and talk about throwing. He's got a lot of experience in the United States with with athletes that have come down here. He does a lot of training camps down in the U.S. So as soon as Richard logs on, we'll get a chance to chat with him. He's an amazing guy to talk to. I've had the pleasure of spending some time with him, and now I get a chance to catch up via Instagram Live. So Richard's signing on right now. Hey, how are you doing, sir?
Cold.
How cold is it up in our great neighbors to the north?
Well, you know what? It's not as bad as it could be or has been in the wintertime, but it is bad for April. Although we keep forgetting that April is kind of a transitional month,
Yeah, very much so.
at least here. And I'm tired of transitioning. I'm ready for the next.
What would be a normal situation minus this corona crap? Where would you guys be traveling right now, or would you be back in
Yeah,
Toronto?
right now our plan was to be down at LSU.
Okay.
Training there, getting ready for a couple competitions. Some of our athletes would have been up in Virginia.
Yep.
Our favorite head coach isn't there anymore, so I was to LSU and compete there before we headed off to Germany for Halle.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so Halle was kind of so it would have been LSU for two meets, Halle, and getting ready for some of the athletes to go to some other meets in Germany, or Brittany to head off to Stockholm for Diamond League.
Nice. So with the kind of the uncertainty, has Canada said anything about a possible date for some national championships or competitions like some of the other countries have?
Yeah, so we have definitely canceled our nationals this year,
Okay.
and I was a little disappointed because in Canada we only have one meet that's over an F meet when we look
Okay.
at rankings and that, right? And that's our
Right.
national. But once, and I was questioning AC and asking them about staging even a smaller scaled nationals without all the sponsors. But once the IAAF or World Athletics held and froze all the world qualifying,
Right.
it didn't make a difference. So we're all frozen until December 1st. So it doesn't matter if we had a nationals or not.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's one of those things you always feel for the athletes and coaches too, because you guys are putting together the plans. What kind of change in mindset wise that you've kind of done with your athletes going forward? Now there's no real season.
Yeah, you know what? It's been a bit of a it's been a 180, right? Uh,
Sure.
we're coming off a pretty good high with both Brittany and Sara Mitten
Yeah.
qualifying for the Olympics. So we were pretty dialed in, and had a couple of other athletes we'd like to see if we could get them qualified. But when the coronavirus started happening, we kind of started preparing ourselves, especially when all the lockdowns started happening. We knew the postponement was probably going to happen.
Right.
Going to be postponed to later in the fall or the following year. So we were kind of prepared for postponement. What really shocked us was when the COC stepped forward and sent a letter saying Canada was canceling out of the games altogether. And
Right.
this was before the IOC postponed it. So I think it was the right decision. I'm glad. I don't want to get emotional here, but proud that Canada took the step forward first and said, "Hey guys, we're out. This is safety first." So
Right.
that was a very difficult decision for them, and Rick and Sarah they understand it. I think a lot of the athletes agree to it, and luckily, IOC has come back and said, "Hey, we're going to postpone it." So, if they hadn't have postponed it, boy, then we would be looking at another type of shakeup, right? Another mental game, because we would be. So luckily they postponed it, and now we have another year to get ready.
So in your group, I mean, you have a decent sized training group up there. What all events do you have, and who all is up in that training group with you up in Toronto?
Okay, so I look after the throws out of the East Hub, out of our East High Performance Center in Toronto. So I look after all our CAP athletes that are allowed to train at the hub. So that's through 1928, Sara Mitten, 1884, Trinity Tootie, who's a double athlete, 1724 shot as a junior, ranked second in the world last year, seventh in the discus at 57, 96, 57, 96, or 56, 96. I'm getting all the numbers messed up. Ashley who was a javelin thrower down in Mississippi. She's returned home. So that's the core group. Then I also have, Eli Paul Yu, 1846 shot putter, male shot putter.
Yeah, yep.
Right? You saw him throw down at Virginia. So that's the core group. That's the CAP athletes. And then I have some other athletes that train with us as training partners, have access to the hub, but I coach them as quote unquote outreach. That's what we label it with Athletics Canada. Got it. So
now a different thought. Like, so you've got that whole group of athletes. Two of them have already hit the Olympic standard for next year. So is the mindset going to be a little different with them kind of going forward since they've already got the standard, or is it just going to be kind of like a reset, coach a new season?
I've got basically two prongs right now. So with Brittany and Sara, it's going to be high volume right now. Let's stay ready. I hate, one of our mental performance coaches uses the analogy of making a movie. So over the next 30, 60 days, 90 days, you're in production. What is your movie going to look like when you debut at the end of COVID-19, when this is all over and we do have a bit of a season? What do you want your movie to look like? So right now, we're just waiting for dates for them. Hopefully there is some Diamond League, there's some World Tour championships, or not championships, but competitions. So hopefully we have some of those. Now, the other athletes like Trinity Tootie or Ashley who have aspirations of making that top 32 in the world, they got a really good jump on the world when we were down in New Zealand and Australia.
Right.
Real good ranking points. They jumped up 10 spots or so, and now everything's frozen. So they're kind of going, wow, it's frozen. But you know what, guys? The rankings and the qualifying's all frozen. But the one thing that's not frozen is your development. So right now, we're in a regular training block with those two and working towards, so I've got an 8-week, 10-week training block depending on the athlete for them. And at the end of that, we'll start another training block. So they have some technical things we need to work on. We have some strength and conditioning that we have now time to work on. Everything's frozen. So the one thing that's not frozen is what you can do in your training right now.
What's a core part of your training blocks? Like what do you consider your, this is a key part of our training?
Oh, wow.
Put you on the spot a little bit.
No, it's not a spot. I just don't know how to answer that because I can answer it in phases, or are you asking as far as technical or drill?
However you want to answer it.
Well, quite frankly, other than right now where I've been keeping the volumes fairly low, like until we know, there's no sense of, unless the athlete does need some strength development, we're keeping the volume, get high volume and not worry about putting the body under a lot of stress.
Right.
Because most of the time, most of the work's done in the transmutation. And that's usually about a 5-6 week period, depending on the athlete and depending on when they adapt.
Right.
So it's all pretty individual. But usually it's between 5 to 8 weeks. Some athletes just take a little longer, or what I'm finding, of course, we know from Dr. Bondarchuk's learnings that every time we come back to a training block, a new stimulus, and that stimulus, it's getting tougher. So somebody like training Brittany, I've got to find new tricks. So,
Right.
so I'm constantly challenged by making sure that she's not bored with the training. So if they've been with me as long as Brittany has, at 6 years, Eli's been with me since he was 17. I've got to constantly, and what makes it even more difficult is some of these kids have gone, some of these athletes, some of these adults have gone to school for kinesiology. So they're smart.
Right, right.
I'm surrounded with a lot of smart athletes. If I'm putting something in, I better have it backed up. I'm trying out some new stuff.
Right.
So I found some really cool stuff from a golf coach on pelvic rotation and sequencing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've been applying to the throwing. And first of all, I was looking for myself, because when I was down in New Zealand, I went golfing with Stevenson and got the bug. And I haven't golfed in 4 years until then. And now I'm kind of anxious to get back out and play. So it was a lot of fun. And so I was like watching these videos, and I'm going on golf, and I'm going, you know what? This sequencing, this pelvic sequencing could really work throwing. So I've thrown it into the program, and I've had great feedback from them. So
it makes lots of sense, just from a practical standpoint with the hips, just in not knowing exactly what it is, but just kind of processing through how movements go. And, as you know, movements are all linked together.
Yeah.
Various sports. I mean, it's, and our sport, or track and field, is, one of those sports that kind of layers on everybody else's with how the body moves.
And so they've enjoyed it. So now I've got to come up with something new again, because especially right now with all this time on their hands, they want to be stimulated, right?
Right. What can they do right now up there? Is all the facilities shut down, or some of them, or do they have access to something?
No, we're under complete lockdown.
Okay.
So, in fact, they have bylaw officers in the city of Toronto walking around to parks,
Wow.
handing out tickets. $700, $1,000 tickets, fines for being in the park. They've taken all the basketball nets down, for instance, to stop encouraging people from playing ball. All our track and field facilities, our high performance facilities, completely locked up.
Similar to Chula Vista as well.
Yeah. So I was lucky that I was allowed to take some equipment out of there before we locked down. So we do have some bars, and it's being creative. Sara Mitten is in Nova Scotia from New Zealand. She went home to visit her parents, which was supposed to be a week or 10-day visit. Now she's been there for a month. But dad's pretty handy, and they've got set up in the garage, flooring into tarps.
That's awesome.
They've gone out to the Brittany crew went out and bought, her uncle and her built a plywood throwing circle. So right now at I don't know what it is, 30 something degrees out there because it's snowing. So we're in the 30s for sure. She's outside throwing on a friggin' plywood board, and you know what? Forget about, because I'm a big believer in detailed monitoring, right?
All right.
But right now, just get the volume in, get the work.
Right.
Don't, you know what? If it's 19 meters, okay, well, let's go to Sweden and compete like they are.
Right.
Right. And so let's just throw a heavy implement, and while we're going lighter in the weight room, we'll throw a little heavier and get the volume in.
That's awesome. The creativity of athletes, kind of getting things in is awesome to see that. You mentioned New Zealand, because you guys were, down there. Tell us a little bit about that experience. And New Zealand is one of those countries that has some great throwers for as small of a population as it is. It's kind of amazing.
You know what? No, I'm not going to tell you anything about New Zealand. Horrible place. Horrible. we love the people there are fantastic. As a coach during their nationals, we got invited to stay and compete at their nationals. Their coaching staff had a dinner at Dale Stevenson's house. I got invited. It was really great atmosphere. I can't say enough. But the country, like, I mean, if it wasn't so far away from home, I'd move there. That would be retirement city.
Yeah, it is definitely one of my favorite places I've ever been, without a doubt.
The meets are run very well, without a hitch. They start on time, and you don't have a lot of the problems that we have in some of our meets here at home. Just very efficient. High Performance Center was open up to us. We had a little mix. Their physios looked after us, recommended massage therapists that we would go and pay for. But Dale was a terrific host when we were in Wellington. Debbie Strange was not Wellington, but in Hamilton. She was terrific. Even took Ashley out for a workout. I didn't think I was going to get Ashley back, frankly. So much.
Right.
So it was awesome. Like we left Ashley and Trinity in New Zealand because there was the Brisbane meet left.
Okay. Yes.
Which eventually got canceled.
Right.
And we were scrambling for a place for them to stay that was affordable because Ashley and Trinity are basically funding it themselves, the trip themselves out of their own pocket. And as it turned out, I was just casually talking to one of the coaches, and one of the mothers overheard. He said, "You can stay at my house."
Wow.
So, I mean, that's the great hospitality.
You know, and that you find that, I mean, obviously New Zealand is a special place with that, but that's the specialness of the sport, or of sports, that parents and people come out to help. I don't know. It's the great thing about human spirit that can be found, especially around athletics.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one thing that kept me going even after university or college and throwing, for fun, was the people that you meet and the places you went to stay, and you go on the road, and it's the fellowship. It's just, right. It's great.
What, as a philosophy as a coach, how would you describe yourself as a coach? It's something I've tried to ask all the coaches that we've had on here. Like,
funny you should ask that question, because right now I'm in an advanced coaching diploma program with with our Canadian with the CISO. And one of the courses, so there's 8 courses. One of the courses is developing your coaching philosophy, and so we are right now reflecting upon that and reviewing your values. And they've actually asked they've asked the people in the course to send out an email to our athletes and ask our athletes, what do they think our values are? And I'm not sure a lot of them would. Well, you know what? They're real smart, so I bet you they could probably figure it out. But they've been actually really good on giving me feedback on my coaching style and what are my strengths, where are my weaknesses. And, I get a little frustrated when I get a little overwhelmed, a little lacked on time. So I do get a little frustrated. I'm normally by nature a kind of an intense person.
Right.
Very focused. And some people misinterpret that as being unfriendly, which I've learned through this process. I've got people out there that don't know me, and because they don't know me, they think I'm a mean guy, or I don't want to talk to people. It's not that. It's just that when I'm at a meet, I'm pretty focused. We're there for a purpose. We're not there for everybody to be friends and throw with Brittany Crew. I'm there so Brittany Crew and Sara Mitten can throw an Olympic standard. We're there to compete. We're there for a reason. Now, after the meet, want to go to barbecue, I'll go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the coaching philosophy right now, I'm trying to align it with my organization, and I think that's important that you have an alignment with our NOC. And right now, our coaching philosophy, their mission is to deliver top medalists and top 8. So
Okay.
that's got to be part of my mission or vision. But I also believe that as flexible as any of the plans that I put forth, I need, and this is my learning, I need to start adapting as well. I need to start listening to my athletes a little bit more, especially as they get more mature in their athletic career. And I need to learn how to adapt to them. So if maybe in a month I'll recite my coaching philosophy, because I'm still rewriting. In fact, I talked to my coaching mentor today, and I said, I need to do more work on it. So all this soft skill stuff, I've all this higher critical thinking is actually what I'm doing right now in the part of the lockdown.
Interesting. That's awesome. It's one of those things that any coach that we have on the program, we just kind of want to ask, because I think it's an important thing, and especially coaches that go back and watch and kind of see this. People that have had success, as much success as you've had, it's refreshing to see. Hey, I'm always trying to get better. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to grow. Trying to adapt, and that's a big thing for young coaches that I think they really need to learn.
Well,
sure.
you know what? Athletes get better and the athletes grow. I've got to make sure I grow ahead of them, or I've got to be better if they're going to be better. And I don't know if you noticed, I kind of danced around your question about the coaching philosophy.
No,
so,
you did perfect, actually.
Well,
I think
I give you the answer. So because it is a work in progress.
Right.
So, but yeah. I think as a coach, I'm always trying to learn. I went to Estonia last year for the shot put coaching conference. Learned a lot by just sitting around chatting with people afterwards at dinner. All the different coaches. Just like sitting around with you after the meet in Virginia.
Right.
We exchanged kind of the backgrounds, and it's interesting to look at people's stories. And there's always a message in there somewhere.
Sure. Very, very much so.
So I learned a lot in Estonia at the World Shot Put Conference. I hope to go back to there and do the discus one this year. This ACD course. I'm taking a nutritional course on the 27th online. Athletics Canada actually has a lot of webinars every Wednesday at 4 p.m. If you go to their website, athletics.ca, you can find a link to hook into their webinars, and they're free.
That's awesome. Athletics Canada webinars, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, so there's one on nutrition on the 27th with our nutritional dietitian, who is also the dietitian for the Raptors. She has one of those big fancy rings.
It's a good thing.
So she's terrific. Jennifer Sago, she's really part of our team at the East Hub, and really helps me with my throwers. So she's going to be great on the 27th. And the 29th, there's a video analysis by myself and two other coaches. So every Wednesday there's one. It's really good. There's distance programs, a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, appreciate it. I mean, that's some good stuff to kind of to chew on, and kind of think that those are opportunities out there. Hey, Richard, we appreciate the time and coming on and sharing a little bit, and hope you get to warm up a little bit.
Hey, thanks. If not, we're locked down. We can't travel. The border's locked down still, right? As soon as that border's open, we're coming.
I feel you on that one. But hey, Richard, thanks for joining us on Just the Cup. We appreciate it a ton. I see Sara just said to say hello, so I'm sure she was paying attention there. But enjoy again. Thanks, and we'll see you down the road.
Wash your hands. Stay at home.
Amen. I like that.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.